Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream, and I'm going to do your December the 4th Spiritual Principle a Day in a Meditation. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our Hood Recovery Services. You may reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. I hope you're having a beautiful morning. Okay, let's see. It is entitled Vulnerability Builds Bonds. Honest self-assessment is essential to recovery, but it is only possible if we are vulnerable enough to let someone in. That comes from our Living Clean book, Chapter 6, Anonymity. Practicing vulnerability runs counter to our terminally hip and fatally cool self-image. Our instinct still tells us to hide any hint of frailty for fear that others will take advantage of us. It takes a conscious decision to drop the defenses that once kept us safe. We choose to share our pain with others, taking risks in defiance of diseased thinking and deeply rooted behavior. Guns blazing here, guys. This one is deep. Our willingness to trust the process increases over time. We may confide some of our darkest secrets to new friends in recovery even before we write an inventory. We notice that practicing vulnerability brings us closer to others. Although legend has it that a member once shared their inventory with a taxi driver, we'd be hard-pressed to find someone who unloaded their fifth step on someone besides their sponsor. By the time we get to step 5, we've grown to rely on our sponsor for good guidance and have learned to trust that what we share will be held in confidence. Perhaps most importantly, our sponsors don't judge us or condemn our behavior. We do enough of that ourselves. Rather, sponsors try to help us work through our shame and embarrassment and move into acceptance. We reflect on how we've opened up over time and realize the benefits of practicing vulnerability. Experience emboldens us to meet our fears head on. We're free to be real and raw and vulnerable in meetings. We come to realize the walls we built to keep us safe kept us imprisoned. We aspire to build our relationships on a foundation of trust, honesty, and openness. Let me reread that. We aspire to build our relationships on a foundation of trust, honesty, and openness. When we share from our hearts, others meet us there. Our sponsees, friends, and partners open up to us, and the value of vulnerability is reinforced. Experience confirms that we can feel vulnerable without shutting down. As one addict put it, vulnerability is like a super strength
Alert from Google
adhesive.
password required.
It bonds us together like nothing else. Sorry about that if you hear that in the background. I will have the courage to be vulnerable today. I will share my true thoughts and feelings, letting those who love me know all of me. Now that's a beautiful meditation. And I personally feel that our relationship with our sponsor is a very special relationship. And I will honestly have to say that even though I heard legend had it, someone shared their fifth step with a taxi driver. And I would say that people probably do share sometimes with people that they don't really know, or maybe they share secrets with people before they share them with a sponsor or even get to a fifth step. I can remember my very first fifth step that I did with someone that I had only met at a retreat the year before. And even though we were maintaining contact, she was not my sponsor. My very first fifth step was done with someone who was not my sponsor. And it was perfect. It was a perfect, if I could say perfect, it transformed me in that sense. I mean, it was perfect. The other ones were all done with a sponsor. Maybe you are an individual that you don't have a sponsor yet and you're trying to get that nailed down, or maybe it's been years since you've done a fifth step. Um, or maybe you're not doing step work. Maybe you're having issues with the sponsor that you have and you're looking for someone else, or you don't know how to tell your sponsor you're looking for someone else, or you don't know how to bridge the gap between your relationship or the dissonance that you guys have. You could be in any number of places, but here's my point. Being vulnerable takes practice. It doesn't happen overnight. And even when you are vulnerable, I just shared at a meeting about a week ago. And you know what I realized? I haven't been back to that meeting since I shared. Now, I don't believe, I do not believe that I'm not in that meeting, that particular meeting, because I don't want to be. I know that, people got sick in my family and I've been away from being able to be present without having other ears around. Okay. So I understand what's going on with me, but don't, I kind of thought that was interesting because I know sometimes when we become vulnerable and we share things about ourselves with people, there's that after effect. And sometimes we can become embarrassed that we even shared what we shared with someone. And I just want to tell you that I believe in Narcotics Anonymous, we are in a very safe environment, a sacred environment. It may not always work out that way where you share and your confidence is well kept. Sometimes you'll hear people share something similar to what you shared in a meeting and you're taking it as being targeted. And I just would say to that, one, make sure you're not being overly sensitive, but also realize that we have so many similarities, right? We've come from uh, active addiction, and there are just some things that run true in the disease of addiction, the active addiction, promiscuity for one, right? And so it's easy, I think, when you have so many similarities with a group of people. Don't be surprised if you hear your very own story, and don't be surprised if your share triggers someone else to share what they've been through. And we don't want to be too quick to assume that they're sniper sharing or cross sharing. Vulnerability, practice it. Make up in your mind today when you go to a meeting to share something that is a little bit deeper than you work the steps in your life is great. It doesn't have to be too deep. I don't want the risk to be so high that you regret being vulnerable. But I would challenge you to do that, and have that courage. It takes practice. Have the willingness, the open-mindedness, right? To be honest on that level and become vulnerable today. Share your true thoughts and feelings, and let those people around you that love you know all of you. Let them know who you are. And it's an act of faith. It's a step of faith to be able to do that. But I do believe that you won't regret it. My name is Mighty Stream, and I've enjoyed this time with you today. Have a beautiful December the 4th, and have a beautiful day on purpose. I will be talking to you soon.